there's no better education than getting out and seeing the world.
The experiences are what you're going to remember in the long run.
Getting out to see the world has just really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
I know a little bit about a lot of random things, and that's because of travel.
We're going to learn so much more and stay up to date with these destinations.
It's going to help us get even better at building group itineraries.
I'm really looking forward to having great conversations about places.
Welcome to Destination Dispatch.
Hello, welcome to Destination Dispatch. I'm Jim Delleman with Group Travel Odyssey. I'm one of the community architects there. I do want to welcome you today, and I want to let you know if you haven't joined us before, you're in for a special treat. But also, before we get started, we ask that you please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if you click that little button down here, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you ring the bell, you'll get a notification anytime that we do have new products or new programming on our channel. As well as that, you can follow us on LinkedIn, Group Travel Odyssey, and like our Facebook page. Again, Group Travel Odyssey. I think we've said that a lot already. I'm going to bring on a couple of co-hosts to help me today. First up, we have our lead navigator with Group Travel Odyssey and also the host of Business Navigator, Keith Snowd. So hi, Keith. How are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing great.
Doing well. Also, we have coming on the host of a really fantastic podcast called Destinations Beyond Expectations. Please welcome Stevie G. Stevie, how you doing?
Hey guys, good. How's it going?
It's going really, really well.
Great.
So thank you guys so much. I was telling everybody a little bit about following us, on YouTube, LinkedIn, all the social media channels, Facebook, everything like that. And, you can see that banner on the bottom of our screen. In Destination Dispatch, what we're doing is we want to bring you information about some really fantastic destinations that are group friendly. We're going to bring on the experts from those areas to give you more information, to also let you know how easy it is for your groups to travel. And today we have Tyler, Texas with us. And guys, have you been to Tyler?
I haven't, no. I have been by Tyler, and now I'm regretting after doing all this research not stopping. But yes, I have. It looks fantastic.
Well,
same boat. I was going to say I've probably passed it before, but never stopped by. But it's certainly on my list of places to see now after doing some research, like Keith said.
And that's one of the fantastic things about working in our industry is that there's so many really incredible destinations that even those of us who have decades in travel,
watch it, Jim.
We're still learning so much more about these fantastic places and everything that they have to offer. And, today is certainly no exception. Tyler, Texas is really, up and coming. It has so much to offer, not just the independent traveler, but for your groups as well. And we're going to bring on today an expert on Tyler, Texas. This is the Vice President of Tourism and Servicing with Visit Tyler. Please help me welcome Susan Travis. Susan, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are y'all?
We're great. We're great.
I just have to say, Keith, shame on you for passing by Tyler and not coming to see it.
Somehow I knew I was going to get chastised for that.
And Stevie, you need to stop by too. Y'all all need to come to Tyler because it is a great place.
Well, we'll come visit now.
Yay.
We know even more people now, so this will be great.
Now we know somebody there. Yes.
I can personally make sure y'all have a great time here. So.
Yes.
That's fantastic. As we've gone through over these past couple of weeks and learned more about Tyler ourselves, we got to see some really fantastic opportunities. And what would you say makes Tyler so unique and so great for your groups or for groups to come in?
Well, Tyler, number one, Tyler is the rose capital of America. We have the largest municipal rose garden in the country. Yes, we do. It's 3 times larger than Portland's, And I know that for a fact because I have been to Portland and I went to the Rose Garden. I had to do a little research, it was vacation really, but I did research. And it's a beautiful rose garden, but ours is 3 times larger. And inside our Tyler Municipal Rose Garden, we have our botanical garden. So it's not just roses. There's a lot of other things to see at the Rose Garden. So, we are, Tyler is, the rose growing industry was huge here. It's still huge here, but it was a lot larger years ago when it first got started. We had over 200 rose growers in the area.
Wow.
And it all came about because we had peach farmers. Tyler was known for peaches and growing peaches. And so long time ago, probably around 100 years ago or so, the peaches, they had a peach blight and lost all these peach orchards. And so these farmers were like, what are we going to do? I mean, we have to do something. We have to grow something, so they discovered that the same great soil that grows great peaches also grows great roses. And so they started growing roses. And like I said, it grew to over 200 rose growers. We now don't have hardly any rose growers anymore, but we do process about 80% of the nation's roses come through Tyler and get processed here. So when you go and you buy a bag, one of those bags of roses, what I'm talking about, a rose bush, you go to Lowe's or you go to, Walmart or wherever, and you buy that rose bush, chances are if you look at the packaging, it'll say Tyler, Texas on it. So yeah, that's what we're most known for. But Tyler is just, it's just a special place. I can't describe it. You just have to come here. We're over 100,000. We have over 100,000 population, about 110,000, but it doesn't feel like a bigger city. We have so much to do and so many great attractions and museums and fun things to do, but we also still have that small hometown feel. You know what I mean? We're very community. We're a very close-knit community, very family friendly and welcoming, very welcoming to visitors. And so everybody that comes here they want to come back. They come and they're like, oh my gosh, I love Tyler. And it's just beautiful here. We're known as a natural beauty. And we do have, we have so much going for us as far as we have lakes around us. We have several lakes just right here in Tyler, outside Tyler. And then all around us, there's lakes. But we have, the piney woods. We're also known as the piney woods. We have, big, tall, beautiful trees. And people from Dallas love to come to Tyler, 2 hours, less than 2 hours away. They just love to come down here because they get to see as you start driving east and you're coming towards Tyler, you see all these trees and you're like, wow, this is beautiful. And we don't see this in Dallas, as much. And especially you keep going further west, you're going to see, the trees there are mesquite trees. And we in East Texas call those bushes. Okay. I'm just saying. We love our West Texas people, but they don't have trees like we do.
Well, and that brings up a good question. Where is Tyler located in relation to Dallas and other places? I know you said East Texas. Yes. How do people get there?
Okay, we are. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. We are located halfway between Dallas and Shreveport, Louisiana. So if you know where Shreveport is, we're right off of Interstate 20. So if you're coming from, I don't know, Georgia, and you come across Interstate 20, you go through Mississippi and you go through Louisiana, you're going to go through Monroe, Louisiana, where the Duck people are, Duck Dynasty, are from. But you're going to go through that, and then you're going to come through Shreveport, and then you're just going to keep on coming. We're an hour and a half to the west of Shreveport, and literally about 10 miles off of Interstate 20, south of Interstate 20. And then if you keep going on 20, you're going to hit Dallas. So another hour and a half. So So yeah, we're real easy to get to. We actually do have a regional airport in Tyler, so we have connecting flights from Dallas, from DFW. So if they want to fly into Dallas and get a connecting flight, they can fly directly into Tyler. Or a lot of groups, sometimes if they fly, they'll just get a shuttle from Dallas, and then that way they have that shuttle to get around in while they're in Tyler.
So Susan, I have a question. I when I was researching, I saw lots of really interesting things that go on, but you mentioned it being the Rose City, which I'm a gardener, so I love roses. And I saw that you have a rose festival every year. When does that occur? And is that a good time for groups to visit?
Yes, that is one of the favorite times that groups love to come. And that is this year will be our 89th annual Texas Rose Festival. And that all came about because of the rose growing industry. They decided to start celebrating the rose growing industry by having a rose festival. So it started in 1933. So this is our 89th year to have the rose festival. And it's a great time to come. There's a coronation, a queen's coronation. There's a queen's tea out in the garden that's open to the public, so they can go out in the garden and mingle with everybody, and they have refreshments. Usually it's cookies and punch, and they have the queen and her entire court out there, and you can take pictures with her and see her up close and personal. And let me tell you, the costumes are amazing. So you can go to the Rose Garden at the Rose Garden Center, which is located there at the Rose Garden. There is a museum there called the Tyler Rose Museum, and it has it just tells the whole story of the rose growing industry and the Rose Festival in Tyler. So it's a great museum, but the costumes are on display there. They change them out every few months, but the costumes are amazing. Like they're handmade. They're designed with the designer that we have now. This is actually his second year to design the costumes. We had a costume designer, that Wynn Morton, who did it for, gosh, many years, probably 40 years, I think. I can't remember exactly how long. And he recently retired. So now we have this new costume designer, and he's phenomenal. And so the costumes are amazing. They design them, based on the theme of the Rose Festival. Last year, the theme was Secrets of the Garden. So everything was flower or plant themed or garden themed, so like one girl was the garden gate, and her costume looked kind of like a gate. I know it's hard to imagine, but it's really something to see. But so yeah, the Rose Festival groups love coming during that time, because they can experience, they can get that whole feel of why Tyler is what Tyler is, and how we became the Rose Capital of America. So it is a very special place, and it's a very special time. And not only do the visitors come and enjoy it, but locals, lots of locals come out, and we have a parade on Saturday morning, a big huge rose parade, and then we have, after the parade, is the Queen's Tea, and then the day before is the day they do the Queen's coronation.
And what time of year is that, Susan?
It's October. I'm sorry,
October.
I forgot to mention that. Yes, it's October. I know a lot of people are like, October roses?
Yeah, that's
They do bloom. The roses do bloom naturally in the spring, mid to late April for us, because we're more in the south and it's a little warmer down here. So they usually bloom mid to late April, depending on the winter we have. However, in October, they prune the roses back, usually around Labor Day, something like that, about 6 weeks before the Rose Festival begins. And then those roses come back bigger and better and more beautiful than ever. And so they're really blooming pretty by mid-October. So yeah, so that's
great.
That's when is a great time. We call the whole month of October in Tyler rose season.
Okay.
Because it's all things roses. I mean, we're just all about the roses, and people do events kind of based around the Rose Festival, even though they might not happen on that exact weekend. You can come in October pretty much anytime and find something rosy to do. You can find something rosy to do in Tyler. We are a rosy destination.
I love that.
I love it. One question that I wanted to ask is, obviously the Rose Festival is such a big deal, and the history of roses is such a big deal for you guys. But are there any other events that draw groups into Tyler that you can think of off the top of your head?
Yes. I'm so glad you asked, Steve, because we actually just 2 weeks from tomorrow, our Azalea and Spring Flower Trail kicks off, and that is a huge event. That's been going on 63 years. This is our 63rd annual Azalea and Spring Flower Trail. The same soil that grows peaches and roses really good here also grows azaleas and spring flowers. And so we have a beautiful historic district that's over 10 miles, many homes, many beautiful. These are not cookie cutter homes. These are beautiful historic homes, different styles of homes, mid-century modern and lots of other different styles of homes that are in that district. And also, I forgot to mention, in Tyler, we have 3 historic registers listed on the National Historic Register. I'm sorry, 3 historic districts that are listed on the National Historic Register. One is the Azalea District, and the other is the Brick Street District, and then the other is Charnwood District. And they all, in places they overlap, and then in other places you're just strictly in the Azalea District, or you're strictly in the Brick Street District. But we do have lots of brick streets in our downtown area and in the Azalea District. So it really makes it quaint driving on those, brick streets and or walking. You can get out and walk. It's 10 plus miles is the marked trail, the Azalea and Spring Flower Trail. We actually have 2 trails, and they come together in places and then they separate in places. So it takes a little while if you want to drive the whole thing. You want to get out and walk in places. We suggest you do that for sure. And so it would take you, an hour at least probably to go through the whole thing. We do have a garden. We used to have a few gardens that were open. We only have one now, residential garden, that's backyard garden that's open to the public. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's been featured in Southern Living Magazine, Texas Highways, Better Homes and Gardens. It's an amazing garden, and it's a residential garden. It's a couple that moved there 20 something years ago, and it was grown up, and they came in and did all this work, and every year they've added to, and now they have this beautiful orchid greenhouse, cottage looking greenhouse that they built back there, and they have a big beautiful pergola. And if you go to our website, you'll see a picture of it. But anyway, thousands and thousands of people go through that yard every year. And this lady, now Mr. Pyron, unfortunately passed away 2 years ago, but Miss Pyron still, as a widow, she lives there and still continues to greet visitors and welcome visitors into her yard. And it is something to see. I'm telling you, we have people come from all over the United States, but also, we have international visitors that come and see the beautiful Azalea and Spring Flower Trail and walk through Miss Pyron's garden. So it's a really fun time to come to Tyler. It's 3 weekends long. It starts March 25th this year and goes to the 10th. So that is a great time to come. It's always around the end of March, 1st of April. It is based on flowers. So it doesn't always cooperate. They don't always cooperate and bloom during the time that we set the dates. We set the dates when we know it. Typically, they do bloom. But, Mother Nature has her own mind. And so, we can't control that. But like last year with Uri, how bad we had it in Texas. And we lost a lot of azalea bushes during that time. But when they were very late blooming last year, but when they finally did bloom, oh my goodness, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing to see. So we were very thankful when we got to see the azaleas bloom, even though they were 2 or 3 weeks later than what everybody was coming in to see them for.
So I know that we've all kind of had unique experiences, shall I say, over the past couple of years with the pandemic and everything else that's gone on. What are some of the trends that you see happening for future travel into Tyler, Texas?
Well, I'm telling you, we have been crazy busy the last few months. I mean, just even since the first of the year, it's just been crazy. Convention groups are coming back. People are traveling again. I mean, they really are. And groups are traveling. I mean, they want to get out and travel. And the only challenge sometimes is, you got a group and you got to fill up a bus. You got to have 30 or 35 people to make it worth your the time and expense that goes into putting these trips together. And so of course it's challenging because you got 30 or 35 people. Maybe 15 of those are leery of traveling still, whereas the other 15 are ready to go, so I know it's challenging for the bus tour operators, and I so sympathize with them, and I know they've had a really, really hard time. And I'm just being at ABA and being in person again after 2 years of not being together, and seeing everybody, and just this, it was all the same sentiment. Everybody is so excited about getting to travel again and being back together. And so I've got several groups coming in, this year during the Day and Spring Flower Trail. I mean, they're smaller groups, but that's okay. We like small groups just as much as we like the big groups. So we welcome everybody. But yeah, I see it coming back. It's I feel like, my peers, in other Texas cities are seeing the same thing. So we're all very, very grateful and thankful, and we love the tour operators, and we love, what y'all do, and appreciate what y'all do. And as a DMO, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you put together a great itinerary and make sure that your group has the best time ever here. And I'm all about that for sure. I've been here for almost 18 years. I've been doing this for almost 18 years. And I love what I do. I love people, and I love making sure that when they come here, they have the best experience. So I don't feel like I've done my job if I haven't done that. So
I have to say, I know from people who have visited Tyler, they always talk about how welcome they always feel. So everybody that you have there in Tyler is doing a fantastic job at making everybody feel welcome. So that is such a plus. And we do want to continue the conversation, and we will talk in a few moments a little bit about itineraries and what groups can expect on an itinerary. But first, we have a quick message about our partners.
Group Travel Odyssey would like to take a moment to thank our amazing partners, including Book My Group, Travel Advocates, We Travel, Broadway Inbound, and Fly My Group. These partnerships help make business without boundaries possible, and we encourage our viewers to learn more about these wonderful companies. Now, back to Destination Dispatch.
So welcome back. And before our short little break there, we started talking a little bit about, you said you have groups coming in and some smaller groups and stuff. But what I'd love to do now is I'm going to turn this over to Keith. And Keith, I'm going to have you and Susan go ahead and take us through a sample group itinerary.
Absolutely. And so what I'd like to do first is I'm going to show everyone a little bit of where you can find this itinerary in GTO. When you're in GTO in the Sales Manager app, you can see that there's a button that says Trip Templates. You press that button and you can actually search by destination. So we're going to search by Tyler, Texas. You select that, hit Display Report, and there you will see the sample itineraries. This is the historic Tyler tour. You can see the templates. And by the way, after Destination Dispatch is over today, you'll see a link to the episode right here. So I will hit See Templates, and you can see everything right here. In fact, you can copy this proposal and use it for one of your clients right from the system as we go through it. But I'm going to, and you also see a link to the document I'm going to show you right now. And I'm going to have Susan, we're going to talk about this together. I'd really love to learn more about some of the things that are on this itinerary. This is a 4-day, 3-night tour. So I'm going to just turn it over to you and tell me a little bit about, as we walk down the itinerary, we've talked about the Rose Center, but what is the talk about dinner at the Potpourri House?
Okay, so the Potpourri House, y'all know what potpourri is.
Yes.
A combination of dried flowers and so forth that smells good. And so Potpourri House it started out as a tea room 40 years ago. They had just celebrated their 40th anniversary in November of last year, and they started in an old Victorian style house here in the downtown area, and it was beautiful. And I actually lived in Tyler back then. I moved away for a while, and that's during that time when my children were born here. But anyway, I actually experienced the Potpourri House back then. My husband and I at the time, I'm not married anymore, but at the time we were married and we sang together, and we sang at a wedding at the Potpourri House.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really fun, and so I have a lot of personal history with the Potpourri House, but it's like a tea room. It was a tea room then, and it still is a tea room, but they don't really call themselves a tea room anymore. They're now in a commercial building because they completely outgrew that home. They were so popular and everybody loved them so much. But it's family owned. It's a family owned business, has been for years, and they serve really good food. Groups love to eat there. That's really the favorite restaurant for my groups to go. If they're only having one meal in Tyler, they usually have it at the Potpourri House. But it's
a
not
great way to start. Great way to
Yeah.
start the tour. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not just a restaurant. They have a gift shop, and so like a boutique shop. They have clothing and jewelry, Pandora jewelry, and other jewelry, and they have and they have all price points, and they have candles and all kinds of home accessories and bath and body stuff, and it's just a really really neat restaurant and gift shop. They have a soup, salad, and a potato bar that pretty much everybody, you can order off the menu. Excuse me. But pretty much everybody, likes to eat the soup, salad, and potato bar because the salads are unique and different. It's not your typical salad bar. They have salads like cornbread salad. And I know you people that aren't from the South probably don't know what cornbread salad is.
I know what cornbread salad
You
is.
do? Yay. It's awesome, isn't it? Well, anyway,
Yes.
they have that, and they have some other unique salads, and they make their own pimento cheese. And then they have soups. They usually have 2 soups of the day that are, homemade, yummy, delicious soups. It's just a great place to eat. And groups love it because they can eat, and then those that are finished earlier can get up and go shop, and they'll usually stay at the Potpourri House for an hour, hour and a half.
Oh, that's great.
Eating and shopping, yeah. So that's kicks that off really good. When you first arrive in Tyler, you get to experience that.
So
And then-
since we've already talked about the Rose Garden Center, I'd love to go to the afternoon on day 2, and you've got quite a nice variety of different things to do that afternoon with the McClendon House and the Cotton Belt Railroad Depot Museum. Talk a little bit about that afternoon.
Okay, so we of course Logan's Restaurant is another family-owned business, been in business for 60-something years in Tyler. It's a all-you-can-eat buffet, Southern cooking, great place to eat, and definitely just has that hometown, home cooking feel. But once they leave there, they can go tour the beautiful McClendon House, which is an old Victorian style home, beautiful. They only open to the public on Fridays and Saturdays because it's completely run by volunteers and the board, their McClendon House board. So they're not able to open up every day, but now they will open for groups. So bus groups come in, you can plan a tour there. They will open for groups, and they don't charge. It's like $7 or $8 a person to tour with your group. It's well worth it though. It's got a great history behind it. But then they can leave there and come downtown. They're kind of downtown at the McClendon House, but really right here close to where our office and our visitor center is on the downtown square. There's the Cotton Belt Railroad Depot Museum, which is a really cool little museum. I have a bunch of different model trains on display. And in that same, it's where the where the Cotton Belt Railroad Depot originally, that's the original building, and the train, years and years ago when they had the train coming through, that was the depot where people got off and got on. So, it is a historic building. And that museum is a really cool museum, and it's free, and there's no admission fee for that. And then, of course, the Camp Ford Historic Park is, it's a prisoner of war camp, and it's actually uh, located just a little bit north of here, not too far from here, and it's open all the time. I mean, it's not like, and there's no admission fee for it, but they've got some little cabins out there and some, historic, the boards that tell you kind of the history of Camp Ford.
That's
And then
great.
yeah, it's really cool. So, and then there's the Stanley's Famous Pit Barbecue. It's also been open in Tyler for 60 something years. It's not nothing. It's not a fancy place, but they've actually added on to it, over the past 10 to 15 years, and it's a really neat place to eat. Barbecue is amazing. They've won many awards. They get featured in Texas Monthly quite a bit. Usually, if you've got top 20 or top 50 barbecue joints in Texas, they're going to be in that list. But they have won quite a few awards, and it's a really fun place to go. They have live music, and groups really enjoy going there. So,
Well, I would think it would be sacrilegious to show up in Texas and not go to a barbecue place.
exactly, you got to have barbecue, and of course Tex-Mex, or
Yes.
if you'd rather have authentic Mexican, we do have authentic Mexican restaurants in Tyler as well. We've got
That's
quite a few.
great.
So yeah. But then the next day they can go and visit one of my favorite museums. It's amazing, is the American Freedom Museum. It's
Oh,
located a little bit out of Tyler. It's actually on the campus of a private Christian school. And the headmaster there wanted to wanted to open this museum just for his students so that they could learn about the American history, and all the wars that we've been involved in. And so he had his own private collection already, but people, heard about it and knew what he was doing and started donating stuff. But they have over 600 artifacts in that museum. It's 15,000 square feet. It's a Smithsonian grade museum, and
wow.
it's only open on Wednesdays and Saturdays because the other days they're open, they're there for their students. It's a
Right.
learning museum for their students, and then they also have schools come in and do field trips there. But they do open up for private groups. So, all a tour operator has to do is call them and they will open, and I think it's like $7 per person. And if you're a vet or you're, in the military currently, they do not charge admission
That's
to go.
great.
Yes, for sure. And it is an amazing. It's got memorabilia from every war that we've ever been involved in. It's got, memorabilia from 9/11. It is just an amazing, moving museum, and everybody that goes there just is blown away. They just can't believe that that's here in little old Bullard, Texas, which is just outside of Tyler. So, and then they can go on over to the Historic Aviation Memorial Museum. There at the museum, there's a diner there called Sky's the Limit. This is located in our old regional airport building. About 25 years ago, I believe it was, they built a new regional airport just a little bit west of the old one. And so they still, the same runway and everything. But the Historic Aviation Museum moved over there several years. They were in a hangar building close by, but they moved into the old airport building, and now that's where they're located. And then they have this diner that's also there, so they can come in, they can have lunch, and then they can do the tour of the Historic Aviation Museum. It has a lot of World War II memorabilia. They have a simulator in there, and they actually have some beautiful historic planes. That you can actually go out and see on the tarmac. So it's a great museum, and the admission to it is like $5 a person. And the same thing, they don't charge vets, so American vets. So they can go in there and go for free if they are.
That's
a vet.
great. I love a good aviation museum.
Yeah, I know, right? I love that museum. It's just it's amazing. We are so blessed in Tyler to have some really great museums that that are so important to our history, you know, and that really tell the history of not just Tyler, but our nation. But also, when you leave there, if you go just a little further west towards Canton, Texas, which has the largest flea market in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, just 35 minutes from Tyler, we have Canton, Texas, which has the largest. And I actually have some groups that come. They just want to come and shop, but they stay in Tyler and they eat in Tyler. Then they drive over to Canton, and go shopping, you know, for at the flea market. So that's a really good one if you have shopping groups. But yeah, on the way to Canton, just about another probably 6 miles, I believe, from the airport, west of there is the Roseland Plantation. It's a beautiful, beautiful plantation, and the original owners were Tim and Carolyn West, and they still live in the Hambrick house. But they used to own the whole plantation, which includes a chapel on the grounds, which they do weddings there. There was a another home there called the Windsor House that was a bed and breakfast for them, and they did events there as well. And then they have a beautiful banquet hall back behind that house where they do, you know, if you have a wedding and you want your reception, you can have it in that banquet hall. And then they have a cabin on the grounds called Cherokee Cabin, and you can stay there. It's like a B&B. The Tim and Carolyn still own the cabin, and so you can stay at the cabin, and they do breakfast. They bring breakfast to you. It's a beautiful little one-room cabin. You know, it's got one bed in it, so it's really just for one couple or one person, but it's a neat little cabin. And then they have the Hambrick house that they live in, and they do high tea, and tours there. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah, so as a group, if you want to have high tea, you can schedule that privately at the Hambrick house at the Roseland Plantation, and she'll do high tea. And I'm telling you, I've done it, and I've done high tea in Victoria, in you know, British Columbia, on Victoria, on the what's it called, Vancouver Island. Anyway,
Yes.
I've done the high tea that they do there and have been doing there, I think, for over 200 years. I think her high tea is just as good. I really, and I'm not just biased, okay? I promise you.
That's right.
She does a fantastic job. It's 4 course, and so you don't even need to. You go there and you're good. You're full. They don't need to eat anything else, or at least till dinner time. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you can do just a tour of the plantation. And then she has an antique store in this metal building on the back of the property. Carolyn owns that, and she'll take you into that antique store. And there's a surprise in there, which I'm not going to say what it is, because it is a surprise. She takes you at the very end of the tour and takes you and shows you the surprise, but it's amazing. And so, you know, it's a really fun tour, and well worth. If you do the tea and tour, I think the tours are $10 per person. If you do the tea and tour, it's like $40 per person, all inclusive.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad at all.
So I'm really interested in this murder mystery dinner.
Yes. Okay, so one of my favorite museums in Tyler, also that's right here in town, is our beautiful 1859 Goodman LeGrand Museum. It's a beautiful home that was bequeathed to the city of Tyler when the last living heir, Sally Goodman, passed away. She bequeathed the museum, the home, to the city of Tyler with the understanding it would be kept open as a museum. And they don't charge admission except for groups of 10 or more. They do request a $2 per person donation, which is very reasonable.
Yes.
Because you get a really great tour. You can, usually it's about 45 minutes you'll spend in there, and they give you a really great guided tour and tell you all about the history of the Goodman LeGrand families and the home. And it's just everything, almost everything in the home is original to the home. There's clothing and shoes and all kinds of medical equipment, because there was a doctor, you know, LeGrand was a doctor. And so anyway, it was a really cool home. They entertained, they had parties there, and it's just a neat home. Supposedly it's haunted, but good ghost, okay? but yeah, you can go there and do a murder mystery dinner. So you can sit down, and they have dinner catered in, and I think it runs about $40 a person as well. I've done it with on a couple of FAMs that I've done. We've done that, and then they do them. They have them for the public occasionally too. But you go in there and you get to be part of it. You're like you get a part. They have a theme. They have all kinds of themes you can choose from. They have a Bonnie and Clyde one, and they have one that they're just coming up with. The girl that writes these, she just came up with one that's I think 80s music themed or something. I don't know. They're all different themes, and so you can pick the theme you want. And if you want to really get into it, if you know you're coming and you plan this with your group, if they do a Roaring Twenties one, they can bring their Roaring Twenties costumes and they can dress up and
That's
they
great.
get to participate. And it's really, really fun. I just did one for ABA. We did a pre-fam, and I can't remember. I'm trying to remember what the theme was on that one. It was one of the newer ones. But anyway, we had a lot of fun, and it's a great dinner. And then they have wine and dessert, and it's just a lot of fun. And you get to tour the home and hear all about the Goodman LeGrand families while you're there.
Well, I mean, it sounds like a great itinerary. One question I want to ask before we kind of toss it back to Jim is talk to us a little bit about the group-friendly hotel options that are in Tyler.
Okay, we have several. We have a lot of hotels in Tyler, but we have several that are really, really group friendly. They range from, we have Marriott properties, we have Hilton properties, we have Holiday Inn, and one of our limited full service hotels is the Holiday Inn Tyler Conference Center. That's where they have a lot of meeting space, or a lot of convention groups stay there, but bus groups enjoy staying there too. The lady that works there and works with bus groups, she's great, and she goes over and above, making sure that the groups are happy. But we have other really great options as well, and I send out RFPs. So if you're wanting to come to Tyler, you just contact me, and you can actually even submit it through our website on my page, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But I can submit an RFP for you. We can, see which hotels. I usually will get at least 7 or 8, RF or proposals back from these hotels that I submit the RFPs to. So there's a lot of great options, and and they're really competitive and good with their rates.
Well, it sounds like it's a really great itinerary. Lots of great historical options there, and I know that you mentioned wine at the dinner, but I know that around Tyler is the Texas wine region, isn't it? There's a lot of wineries in your area.
We have a lot. Well, we're probably not. Lubbock is more so, I think, and Fredericksburg has more wineries than we do. But I'm glad you said that, because we have the most beautiful winery called Kiepersol. It's just a little ways in. Remember Buller, where American Freedom Museum is?
Yes.
Just a little ways out of Tyler. It's just a suburb of Tyler, really. But you just go out there, and they have a winery and distillery. They have now started making rum and vodka, bourbon, gin, and they now make something called Texila. It's tequila, but it's the Texas version of tequila. But anyway, they have that, so you can get craft cocktails out there if you want, or you can sit there on the veranda and overlook the beautiful vineyard and drink your glass of wine. And their wines are wonderful. But yeah, that's one of the things that I do. It's not on this itinerary, but we have a wine, roses, and trains itinerary, sample itinerary that you can look at, and that's included in that. But it's a beautiful winery. But we have wineries. We have about 20 wineries just probably within a couple of hours from here.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, some awesome options to make sure that people stop in Tyler, considering that I got told that I shouldn't have passed it up. So now I know why.
Yes. If I find out you passed it up again, you're going to be in big trouble.
You know what? That will not happen. So
I don't think it will. I really.
Oh, Susan, thank you so much. If people want to find out even more, or if they want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Okay, so they can go to our website, visit Tyler.com, and up in the top right-hand corner, there's a little button that says Plan Your Event. And if they click on that, that takes them directly to my page, which has all of my contact information. They can request an RFP right through there if they want to. But really, I love talking to people. If y'all can't tell, I love to talk.
We do too.
My coworkers give me a hard time all the time, but you know what? I'd rather be this way than never talk.
And Susan, are you on social media as well?
Yes, we are at Visit Tyler is our handle for Facebook. We're on Pinterest. We're on Instagram, Twitter. So all of those at Visit Tyler is our handle. But yeah, that's a great place to get information as well. Our website though is so awesome. We have such a great website, and if I would encourage them not just to go to my page, but to look all through our website. Plan your visit. There's sample itineraries. There's trails. There's like a pumpkin spice trail in the fall. So it gives you all these places you can go get different kinds of pumpkin drinks or treats, and that's just one. We had one around Valentine's that was chocolate, and I think it was coffee and chocolate or something. And so there's just different ideas on there. So if you're just kind of by yourself, you can find all kinds of fun things to do. And then we have some passes that you can download on your phone for free. We have 3 of those. One's called the Thirsty Pines Tour, which is coffee shops and wineries and distilleries, anything to do with drinking, whether that be non-alcoholic or alcoholic. You can find those on that pass, and it gives you discounts for those places you check in. And if you check into so many, you get a coaster set that says Go East Texas. And so we partner with Longview and Kilgore on that. And then we have another pass called the Adventure and Outdoor Pass, and another one that's called Go East Texas Food and Fun Savings Pass. So that's just strictly places to go, and you can get discounts right there on your phone, and those passes are free. So
when you were talking about the pass and you started with coffee, I was thinking that Stevie G would actually be all over a coffee pass for anywhere.
Are you a coffee drinker?
You're on mute, Steven.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say my ears perked right up when she said coffee. I'm paying attention
we have some awesome coffee shops in Tyler. We really do. Locally owned. I'm not talking Starbucks. We have Starbucks, okay? But we have several, even in the downtown area, called the Foundry. It's a beautiful coffee shop. It's fantastic. And then we have one right here in our building where our visitor center is, called Cafe 1948. And they have all kinds of coffees and teas and healthy juices and healthy options for eating as well. So
that's great.
So yeah, if y'all come to Tyler, you definitely got to come downtown and check out our visitor center on the downtown square. We have all kinds of information you can pick up, and we have some really great items you can purchase, souvenir items and things to take home.
That's great.
Excellent. Susan, thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us today and giving us all of this fantastic information about Tyler. And I mean, honestly, coffee, wine, and barbecue. I don't know why people wouldn't come to Tyler.
That's exactly right. I'm in.
I want to leave right now to come down.
Come on, just come on. I'll take the day off, and I'll take y'all all over.
I'm interested to try this Texquila thing. That sounds very interesting to me.
Yeah.
So
yes, it's really good. All of their cocktails, I mean their liquors that they make are really, really good. They're very good quality. They make them with grapes too. Okay, so it's really
you sound like you're speaking from the voice of experience.
Okay. Yes. How many tours have I done out there? Quite a few.
That's fantastic. Perfect.
Yes.
But thank y'all so much for having me. I'm so I love this. I love group travel Odyssey, and I appreciate what y'all do and helping us as DMOs to get the word out that we're here to help the tour operators. That's what we're here for. So I encourage you, any of y'all that are listening, to call me. Please call me, and I will help you plan a great trip to Tyler.
Thanks, Susan.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank y'all. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Well, that was fantastic. And yeah, all of our ears perked up at kind of slightly different times when she was explaining parts of this. But, again, it's really fantastic to learn so much about some of these really kind of, I don't want to say forgotten, but they're not always on the top of people's minds. Some of these really fantastic group destinations, and there's so much to offer historically, artistically, the foodies, for the people who are out there just looking for these new experiences. Tyler, Texas seems to be the perfect place. So
yes, I love the fact that there's outdoor opportunities, like the Rose Center. Sounds like you could spend a great deal of time outdoors with the botanical garden there and everything.
Yeah.
It really, gives you some different options. Even if you're in, Dallas and you come out to spend a day, it's not that far and gives you lots of options. I mean, that murder mystery dinner sounds amazing in that big old house, and you set the stage for it. It'd be perfect.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was really wonderful. And, just a reminder to everybody, if you want to find out more, you can go to their website. Also, if you've not done so yet, make sure you're subscribing to our, down in that corner, our YouTube channel. You can follow us on LinkedIn at Group Travel Odyssey, and you can also like our Facebook page. So make sure you do that as well. As well as doing Destination Dispatch, on Tuesdays, we have what's called GTO Coach and Go, and I host that on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. I bring on some of our team members, some of the experts in the GTO area, and we go through new things that we're building into the system. We go through updates, we answer your questions. So we kind of coach you on how to use GTO more efficiently and to your advantage. So for those of you who are our GTO users, make sure to join in on GTO Coach and Go on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Keith, can you tell us a little bit about Business Navigator?
So it's once a month. We had our first live stream yesterday, and I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel. That would be, again, right over there, and go to our YouTube channel and learn a little bit more. Watch the live stream from yesterday. It had Pete Pantuso from ABA, from American Bus Association. It had Robert Miller from Travel Advocates, one of our partners, and Karen Petronello from Mears Transportation, which I know many of us know in the travel industry. But it talked about what's going on in the travel industry in terms of client expectations, traveler expectations, and how we can help manage those expectations so that people really know what's happening right now, because it's a challenge for all of us. Everybody's short-staffed, supply chain issues are affecting us, and now we've got that great thing called fuel surcharges and all those things. So I encourage you to tune in. I also encourage you to look on our YouTube page for a video called Dear Traveler and help us get the word out. We're trying to use that as a way to get the word out to travelers in group tours about just to help them understand and what to expect when they travel this year. And it's just a message that GTO has put together. Stevie G was part of that, did a great job with Michelle on our team. And so I encourage you to look for that video and please share it. Please share it with other people. That's the intent. We really want to get the message out to help travelers this year understand what to expect when they're on the road. So
that's fantastic. And Stevie G, tell us where everybody can find Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast.
Absolutely. I will in a quick second. I want to give a quick shout out to Melinda, who is watching from Mineola, Texas, and is very familiar with Tyler. Just want to say hi to Melinda out there. Thank you for tuning in. Destinations Beyond Expectations is the podcast designed for students of travel. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. New episodes every Friday. Tomorrow, we're going to Jekyll Island, Georgia to learn all about things to do around Jekyll Island. I've never been there, but it looks so cool. Driftwood Beach looks amazing.
I have been there, and it is cool. It's really cool.
A lot of cool biking, right? You can do a lot of biking.
Wow, that's great. That's great that you're doing an episode on that. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So that's it.
And shout out to Melinda, who's in student travel, who also commented. That Rose Festival has a parade for those of you that do student groups. A nice fall parade option in a town, which I'm sure will bring out a lot of people. And she said that the parade actually goes around the track at the football stadium so that the fans don't have to stand by the street. So talk about making it easy on the fans. You could sit in the stands and watch the parade go by. So anyway, that's really cool. So
that's fantastic. And next Thursday, we've got something rather special for our Destination Dispatch. If you notice, next Thursday will be March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. And so for St. Patrick's Day, we're going to learn more about where else but Ireland. So we are going to be bringing on our friend Shannon, and she's going to be taking us through some of the great group adventures that you can have in Ireland. And so that will be next Thursday at 2 p.m. on Destination Dispatch. Keith, Stevie, thank you guys so much for co-hosting today. And we look forward to meeting in our green next week again. And, it was fantastic with everything that Susan gave us about Tyler, Texas. We hope you all have a fantastic day, a fantastic week. And if you have any questions about travel at all, contact us. Great. Take care and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching this episode of Destination Dispatch. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And be sure to check out more of our media, including GTO Coach and Go and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.